We now have a new low for the Dow Industrials. We're off 270 points as we speak. Judge Napolitano on the phone. I want some clarity, Judge, and you're good at it. We hear reports that General Flynn is prepared to testify on Trump and Russia. What do you make of this?
Well, it depends on when and about what. For example, as your previous guest said, if General Flynn is speaking to the Russians in the 24 days that he's National Security Advisor, because there is no Secretary of State, that's normal, rational, and to be expected. But if General Flynn is speaking to the Russians between June of 2015, when Donald Trump announced his campaign plans and General Flynn signed on board to be the National Security Advisor, and November of 2016, when Donald Trump was elected, then we have a very serious probability here. The probability is that the President of the United States is in the crosshairs of Bob Mueller for a criminal prosecution or a referral to the House of Representatives of evidence would, had it not been committed by a person now in the White House, be sufficient to prosecute for a felony.
So what is the crime? Spell it out. What may be the crime?
Facilitating the Russian interference in the American presidential election. The interference has been well documented. It consisted largely of the use of computers to hack and mislead the American public. If Bob Mueller can show out of the mouth of Michael Flynn that Donald Trump acquiesced in that, orchestrated it, benefited from it, knew about it, we have a very serious constitutional crisis on our hands.
Okay, hold on a second, Judge. Chad Pergram, right there in the middle of D.C. with news. What do you got, Chad?
Yeah, and I want to read exactly what might be the crime issue here, and this is in the Dianne Feinstein statement. I'm going to read this off my phone here. She says that this shows a Trump associate negotiating with the Russians against U.S. policy and interests before Donald Trump took office and after it was announced that Russia had interfered in our election. Now, she says that's a stunning revelation, which could be a violation of the Logan Act. Now, what is the Logan Act? It basically deals with any citizen of the U.S. who directly or indirectly commences some sort of communication with foreign governments here, and it says that if they try to defeat measures of the United States, shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 3 years or both. So what we might be dealing with here, as Senator Feinstein suggests, is the Logan Act and a violation of that.
Okay, thanks, Chad. Back to you, Judge, if you're still on the line there, because we now have a new low for the Dow Industrials. I think the market is taking very seriously this possible breach of what Chad just described there as the Logan Act. Fill us in a little bit more, please, Judge. Give us some clarity here.
Well, Chad is correct in that is a federal statute that basically prohibits a private person, Michael Flynn, as the emissary of candidate Donald Trump, from interfering with the foreign policy of the government of the United States. It would have been President Obama and Secretary of State Kerry, whom Michael Flynn is alleged to have interfered with. That is the least of their worries. No one's ever been prosecuted under the Logan Act, a 200-year-old statute that's never come into play. Their greater worry is the interference in the election with the acquiescence, encouragement, participation, or instruction of the person who, according to this theory, benefited from that interference by being elected president. The Logan Act exposes Mike Flynn for 3 years in jail. The far more serious one, being involved as a foreign agent while you're an employee of the federal government, exposes them to 20.
This is an extraordinary volatile market. Moments ago, we were down 340. Now we're down at 260 points. Bouncing all over the place as investors try to weigh up the seriousness and indeed the threat to President Trump and his position and what was going on before the election vis-a-vis General Flynn.